What if I told you that one of the greatest tragedies in human history might not have happened the way we've all been told? The burning of the Library of Alexandria, the image of scrolls turning to ash, scholars screaming as centuries of knowledge vanish in flame. It's dramatic, emotional, and heartbreaking. But what if that story isn't entirely true? What if the real tragedy wasn't a single night of fire, but something much slower, quieter, and far more human? Stick around, because today we are going to uncover the truth about what really happened to the Library of Alexandria. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe if you love uncovering the myths and mysteries behind history's biggest stories. Now, let's travel back to ancient Egypt, a city at the crossroads of the world where ideas, power, and pride collided in one of the greatest experiments of human knowledge ever built. The Library of Alexandria wasn't just a building, it was a dream. Founded in the early 3rd century BCE by the successors of Alexander the Great, it aimed to gather all the world's knowledge under one roof. Think of it as the ancient world's internet papyrus scrolls instead of servers, but with the same mission: connect every piece of wisdom humanity could offer. It was said to contain over 500,000 scrolls, holding works from Greece, Egypt, Persia, India, and beyond. Science, philosophy, medicine, astronomy. The ancient world's most brilliant minds gathered there. People like Euclid, Archimedes, and Eratosthenes, the guy who figured out the Earth's circumference using only a stick and shadows. The library symbolized human curiosity at its peak. So how did such a treasure vanish? If you ask most people, they'll picture one dramatic fire, Roman soldiers storming the city, flames consuming every scroll, and centuries of progress gone in one night. But here's the truth. History doesn't record a single apocalyptic inferno. Instead, the library's destruction was a series of disasters spread out across hundreds of years. Let's start with the first suspect, Julius Caesar. In 48 BCE, Caesar was in Alexandria during a civil war. To stop enemy ships, he reportedly ordered the harbor set on fire. The flames spread to parts of the city, and ancient historians like Plutarch claimed that warehouses near the docks containing scrolls went up in smoke. Sounds like the big one, right? Maybe not. Later writers say the fire destroyed scrolls stored near the port, perhaps a smaller collection belonging to the library, but not the main structure itself. The great library may have been damaged, but it didn't die that day. There's evidence it survived long after Caesar's time. Fast forward a few centuries. Alexandria is now under Roman control. The city still has a reputation for scholarship. A smaller daughter library located in the Serapeum, a temple dedicated to the god Serapis, continued the work. Scholars still copied, debated, and preserved knowledge. The dream lived on. Then came another blow. In the late 4th century CE, as Christianity spread through the Roman Empire, pagan temples were targeted. The Serapeum, which housed what many believe was the last part of the library, was destroyed during religious conflict around 391 CE. Many historians consider this the true death of the Library of Alexandria, but even then, not all was lost. Scrolls had been copied, shared, and dispersed across the empire. Fragments of that knowledge survived in other libraries in Constantinople, Baghdad, and eventually Renaissance Europe. So here's the twist. The Library of Alexandria didn't die in one night. It faded through wars, politics, religion, neglect, and time. Not fire, but humanity's forgetfulness was its undoing. And maybe that's even sadder. But let's dig a bit deeper, because here's where things get really interesting and slightly uncomfortable. The story of the library's destruction became a myth that we still tell today. And like most myths, it says more about us than it does about history. When people imagine the libraries burning, they often imagine a single, simple villain, maybe Caesar, or later religious zealots, or some faceless mob that hated knowledge. But in reality, no single group can take all the blame. The real enemy of knowledge wasn't fire. It was politics, pride, and the slow decay of curiosity. The Ptolemies who built the library did it as a flex, a display of power and intellect. Later rulers saw it as a tool to control knowledge. When empires changed hands, priorities shifted. Funding stopped, scholars left. Scrolls decayed. No one bothered to preserve what no longer served their political image. Now here's the haunting part. Some historians think the library's myth, the dramatic story of its fiery end, actually comes from us. It's the kind of story humans love to tell: knowledge versus ignorance, light versus darkness, science versus superstition. The burning of the library became a symbol of what happens when humanity chooses destruction over progress. But by turning it into a myth, we also let ourselves off the hook, because it's easier to blame fire than apathy. Modern scholars have even tried to reconstruct what might have been lost. Works of ancient science, plays, mathematics, histories, things we'll never read because they simply vanished into dust. But not all was destroyed. Some texts survived through copies and translations. For example, much of what we know about Greek philosophy came through Arabic scholars centuries later, who preserved works that might have once sat on those shelves. So, the next time someone tells you the Library of Alexandria burned in one night, remember this: that's not how history works. Knowledge rarely dies in fire. It dies when people stop caring to protect it. And here's something wild. Archaeologists are still searching for traces of the original site. Some think parts of it may lie buried under modern Alexandria, deep beneath streets, mosques, and buildings. A few fragments of papyrus and tools have been found, but nothing that conclusively screams library. Yet the dream of finding even one scroll still haunts historians and scientists alike. Maybe that's what keeps the myth alive. The hope that somewhere under the sand, a piece of that lost wisdom is still waiting. But let's bring this story home. The Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed by a single villain or a single fire. It was destroyed by us, by centuries of human neglect, shifting priorities, and the belief that someone else would preserve what we didn't. And maybe the myth survives because it's a warning, a mirror we hold up to ourselves. Every time we delete data, destroy art, ban books, or let curiosity fade, a little piece of Alexandria burns again. The Library of Alexandria may be gone, but its lesson is eternal. Knowledge isn't permanent unless we fight to keep it alive. So what do you think? Was the library's destruction an accident of history or a reflection of something deeper in human nature? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to see what side you're on. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind this myth, make sure to subscribe for more hidden stories the history books never told you. Because next time, we were diving into a discovery that might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Until then, keep questioning, keep digging, and never stop chasing the truth.